Hello. So I had a phone call today, this morning, from Pete. And this is the guy that's going to meet me tomorrow, who's making the video, to go on the TV in mid-May. Should be scheduled for mid-May, if not first week of September, and it's going ahead and everything's been checked. And he told me, I just checked this morning because you were going to show somebody else my videos. And he said, you've been taken down, the recent videos have been taken down off YouTube. So I looked at, he said, check your emails. So I checked and he said, yeah, defamation. He said, oh, that's only because, he said, they're so devious, he said, that they're determined, they don't want the truth out there, you see, because I've given the truth and I'm a whistleblower and they hate it, they want to hide it up, the corruption, they mustn't be found out, you see. But because I've actually given their names, their first names, not their surnames, just first names, that's all they can do, so they can do that to protect their names. So he said, well, on the TV, he said, when it's broadcast on BBC at night, I don't think they will be very careful. He said, to begin with, they know all that about data protection and not using the first names and all that. So he said that when it goes out there, he said, everything will be exposed. There'll be no cover-ups anymore. So you can't cover yourselves anymore and hide the truth of how corrupt and horrible you've been to me and all the bullying and corruption and everything. Anyway, so we'll go from there. So the fact of the matter is that I have been left to sleep rough by Chester West and Cheshire Council, who have just neglected me, the housing options team. I'm not using first names, so they can't ban this video. So they have treated me appallingly. I'm severely disabled with severe arthritis, and I've got OCD, acute anxiety, ME, so I'm unfit to work, unfortunately. Otherwise I would be working and I would get a flat and I wouldn't be in this terrible predicament that I find myself in now. Well, how I used to live was my mother used to pay basically for everything, and my life was controlled by her. Then she was put in a nursing home, it spiraled out of control. So now I'm left in the world cold on my own, and it's just, well, you do know my history. I'm not going into everything today because I'm just making a brief video, because they've gone to get petrol now. I asked them to go on here, Clive and Sue. They're lovely people that are looking after me. If I hadn't been picked up by them in a camper van, I could be dead on the street because of Chester West Council neglecting me, leaving me to sleep rough outside permanently. It's disgusting, because all they've offered me are urine drenched. They call them chalets, but it's not a chalet. It's what is it? Like garden shed. No, I'll be sick. The thought of that. That's at the back of the Dean Hotel, Hool Road, Hool. You know that. Not using any names. I never use names for them anyway, so that's fine. But, so, we're fine. They can't do a thing. He said, if you don't use their first names, you don't use any names, you're fine. Just say who they're, everything. Anyway, I was speaking to the police recently, not long ago, and the police said it's disgusting the way you've been treated on the streets of Chester. This one policeman, he's more mature, and he said, do you know what? He said he knew that the council at Chester West was given a large sum of money. They've been given ample sums of money compared to other councils, and yet they've decided not to use it, especially on housing and homeless people and helping people. So it's not as if they're strapped for cash, because some councils are, and some councils are actually doing their best to help, like Greater Manchester and things that are absolutely strapped apparently for cash. But they are doing like they're bending over backwards to help people to get them off the streets in different councils. But this council is just squandering the money itself, obviously. Well, we don't know what's happening to it, but it's not being spent where it needs to be spent. Probably on drinks machines in the office. Probably they got one of those fresh cream machines. What else could they have? A luxury coffee blending machine. I would think all that type of thing. An ice machine. So like Pepsi Max, like you get in Pizza Hut, those machines where the cold drink comes out and they got the ice, probably the ice cream swirl machine to go with it. I reckon that's where the money's being spent, and luxury accommodation for them, but not on the actual public. Anyway, he said, ignore that, if it comes off YouTube. He said, how many viewers have you had altogether? He's looked, he said 500 at the most. Nothing. You can have millions, he said, when you're on BBC at night. And it's going to be scheduled, he said. You're going to have absolutely millions of people watching you. It's going to be exposed, and they're going to expose it in a way which is they cannot do a thing about it, because they won't be using names. He said, that's all where you've gone wrong. He said, that's all. They can get you any way possible to try and ban the video. He said, because they're terrified of the truth coming out there. They don't want it exposing. They want to cover it up. Because the most people, he said, they're dealing with are thick people. He said, whereas you're not. He said, that's the problem. He said, because to be honest, he said, when you're on drugs and alcohol, you're not fighting back. They're not making any complaints. They're not coming on YouTube like you. He said, they're not fighting back. They haven't got the gump to do that. So he said to me, he said, what you're doing is excellent. He said, and don't be dismayed by it all. Pete's a wonderful man. Anyway, I can't wait to meet him in the flesh tomorrow. That'll be cool. And but I don't want to put on these poor people. They're cramped up together at the front of the camper van, and they've got me cramped in at the back, and with my leg it hurts. I have to walk around at night, so I'm not getting much sleep really. You know, but they're so kind. They are looking after me and everything. And if it wasn't for them, you know, it's terrible. I told him about them, and I asked whether they'd be filmed, but they don't want to go on the camera. They don't want to go on BBC because they feel ashamed of people they knew or something, neighbours and people might laugh at them because they couldn't afford to stay in their home and they've had to move out, which is terribly sad. It's terrible. I mean, I'm doing a lot, he said, for other people because other people are in my predicament and people who can't stand up for themselves. Look at all the people that have been abused in care homes, who can't stand up for themselves, who have learning disabilities. So they'll just say, oh, they're making it up because they'll say, oh, it's in their head, they're mentally ill and all this, and oh, they're retarded and all this. So they're not telling the truth. So they can cover up all the abuse. Well, my abuse is not being covered up and it's laid plain for all to see. The only thing I've gone wrong is by using first names. Because I've been so truthful, I just said the honest, blunt truth. So they can't take my videos down now because I'm not going to use first names anymore. So there you go. And they know who they are. They know how corrupt and devious they are. Anyway, so I'm not worried about that. I'm just so excited about this video, this going ahead now on the TV. And it is going ahead because I'm 100% safe on that. Because they played right into the ball game. As he said, they've not offered you any decent accommodation at all. They're not approaching to help you. They've not given you a social worker, any worker. They've not approached to help you in any possible way. Even when I went into the council offices, this was before Christmas, I think. It was a long time ago, about November. And I can remember going one day because this woman insisted. And I'd been into this other place and this woman tried to help and couldn't get anywhere. They told me to sleep rough. She was mortified. And then so I went in there and a woman was very nice and tapped away on the desk. She only works on the council. It's not her fault. You know, some of the people that work in Chester West Council on the desks tapping away, they're very nice people like you and I. They're just normal people. I'm talking about the people that are in the housing options team. I mean, if there are any decent people in the housing options team, you should do something about it and stop this corruption, please. Anyway, I don't think any of them will anyway, but so they were meant to get back to me in 28 days, the person she'd done on the thing, with my email, and they haven't because they can check my phones, and nobody got back to me, so it's all lies again. So they don't get back to you, they just ignore you, which is blatantly rude. So he said all this is playing into the ball game now. They just couldn't be better. He said naturally putting to show that it bothers them to do this on their thing. He said it could be a collaboration from the hotel and them. He wasn't 100% sure whether it was one of them or both of them collaborated, which he thought it could have been, that did this defamation thing on me. So he said they've taken 2 videos down so far that we know. Anyway, before this can't be taken down because I've not mentioned any names, so this video will stay on. But I'm just telling you, because there's no defamation, because I'm not saying anybody's name. No, not nobody's name. I can say Lisa Simpson, because she's a cool character on TV. I love her, because I love The Simpsons. And I should call my surname Simpson, because I love her instead. Yeah, whatever. Or just thinking of things that I like. I like Family Guy, different cartoons and things. So those are names I'm using, so they can't say I'm doing anything against them because they're all lovely cartoon characters. So I don't know where they're coming from. Anyway, let's talk off the thing now. So I don't really care because I'm seeing Pete tomorrow, and Pete said this is going ahead, everything's fine. I've signed a contract. I signed some more things tomorrow. They film me. They might film me again. It might not just be once. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm doing a film and an interview tomorrow. And the fact of the matter that they've taken it down shows that it's bothering them because they don't want to be exposed. They're frightened of the truth coming out. Because if it wasn't the truth, say I was some weird person who'd just fabricated the whole thing or something, and I hadn't even been in that hotel, or I hadn't dealt with the council, they just ignore me because they think, what a nutter, ignore me. But it goes to show how upset they are over it being out there. Like, hush, hush, oh my God, she's come on here again and she's saying things, she's telling the truth, oh my God, she's exposed this. So they want it cut off. So nobody knows the truth. Well, everybody will know the truth in May. They're on BBC, because it's going national on television, and it should be mid-May, last week, otherwise it's September. And it's going to go on the BBC. There we are. He didn't want me to say BBC before because of ITV or something, because they fight against each other, or they're doing different things or something, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, because they'll do their own whatever. And if they do approach me, I don't know whether I signed a contract just for BBC, I'm not sure, but I can go to ITV if they wanted to do something else. I don't know about that. I think it's something to do with that or something, I don't know. But that's fine, because I think I'm with BBC with him. I'm sure we're BBC. Do you know what? I might be wrong. It could be ITV. No, it is BBC, I think. But I wasn't paying much attention, to be honest, because I have attention deficit syndrome, so I find it hard to concentrate on things. But all I know is, the fact of the matter is, he said mid-May should be broadcast. If not, the next slot is first week of September, but should be mid-May. That's our slots that goes on the TV or whatever. So that'll be bloody good. But he said they just played into his lap, because he said the fact that she tries to put a video on to get help on YouTube to tell people how badly she's being treated, and then it gets blocked. Your video was blocked by a defamation report. That's what they said on both of them. And do you want to say something? Well, I don't know how to press to reply. And he said, oh, don't bother with that. He said, because he'll sort that out tomorrow. But he said that's all they can do. He said, because you've done nothing wrong in the video. He's looked at them. And he said, all you've done is you've probably mentioned their names, and they want to protect their names for data protection or something. It's like if you see a criminal on the TV, they block out the face. You can have that done, can't you, if you don't want to be known or something. For you've seen it on those things, haven't you, where they're showing them and they're breaking into shops, and they sometimes have their faces blocked because they have the right or something. It's defamation if you show them, even though they're breaking in and doing wrong. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So it's something like that, he explained to me. But he said, don't worry about it, just don't say their names. So I'm not saying their names. Say my name, say my name. No, 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 no. I say no name. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to wait now. They're picking up the petrol, and they're going to garage, and I said, no, I'll hang about here for a moment. It's quite nice around here, this fielded area. And then we're going to go for a ride, and they said we'd park on the front by some beach area today, somewhere nice, while we've got the weather, because the weather's going to go horrible from then on in, apparently. So that's what we're going to do. So when they come back, she said they're going to get some sandwiches and things for us to eat. I haven't eaten today yet. So she's just going to get some sandwiches, crisps, chocolate, drinks, things like that. And then we're going to go for a little ride. And that's what's happened. And then she said this evening we'll try and go and find somewhere to try and get a takeout later on. But they're feeding me. They're really good. I want to pay them back after all this too. I've got to. And I don't know how I can when I'm on benefits. I've got to get serious money and pay them back. I've got to. Got to get on the TV myself. That's what I've got to do. Get myself a TV job. And then I can pay them back. The people that have helped me, and they have. I can't say many have, actually. So that's really good. So are lovely people there. So anyway, this is good news, really, because they've blocked me. So as if that bothers me, as he said, it's no, what is it? It's not skin off your back. I don't even know the phrase. There is a phrase, isn't it? Water off a duck's back or something. I don't give a shit what they do. They're all horrendous, so it doesn't really matter, does it? They're all horrible, and they don't want the truth exposing. I know. It's terrible, isn't it? You know, because they want it hidden. They don't want to show how corrupt they are and how they mistreat people and how irresponsible and how against every rule under the sun they are. Yeah, you know what I mean. So the corruption they think will lay hidden when it won't when he goes on. I can't wait till Pete comes tomorrow. So that's great. And then he's going to call me, he said, about 10 in the morning. And then he's going to come over in the taxi himself from Liverpool, because his train should arrive at, they're going to arrive, they should be arriving at Lime Street, it'll be, won't it, from London, I would think. And then he said he'd get in a cab, pick me up from wherever we're parked, take me then. I think we're in the Hilton, I'm not sure. I'm sure he said it was the Hilton, on the front. It'll be